Can love survive after death? For one man, it didn't just survive. It stayed alive in the most disturbing way possible. Imagine this. You walk past a quiet home in a peaceful neighborhood. A man lives there, alone, polite, soft-spoken. A bit strange, maybe, but behind those locked doors lies a woman who's been dead for 2 years. And no one, not her family, not the police, not the neighbors, has any idea that her body is inside, sitting on a chair, wearing a wedding dress, and being treated like she's still alive. No horror movie, no fiction, just a real case that left an entire town speechless. Carl Tanzler was born in Germany in 1877, but he wasn't just any man. He called himself a count, even though no one really confirmed that. He studied radiology, which is the science of using x-rays to look inside the body without cutting it open, kind of like a body scanner. In the 1920s, he moved to the United States and started working at the U.S. Marine Hospital in Key West, Florida. He was a bit odd, quiet, mysterious, always talking about visions and dreams. People said he once claimed a dead ancestor came to him in a dream and told him he would find the love of his life. A beautiful, dark-haired woman. At that time, it just sounded like harmless fantasy. But no one knew how far that fantasy would go. In 1930, that woman appeared. Her name was Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos, but people called her Elena. She was only 21 years old. Carl was 53. She came to the hospital with her mother. Elena had tuberculosis, a very deadly disease back then. Tuberculosis, or TB, is an infection that usually attacks the lungs. It spreads through coughing and can cause fever, weight loss, and serious breathing problems. There was no proper cure for TB in those days. Many people didn't survive it, but from the moment Carl saw her, he was convinced she was the woman from his dream, the dark-haired beauty his ghostly ancestor promised him. He fell in love instantly. Elena, on the other hand, she was polite. She accepted his help, but there's no proof she loved him back. Still, Carl was obsessed. Carl wasn't just her x-ray technician anymore. He started bringing her gifts, jewelry, clothes, even perfume. He gave her homemade tonics and medicines, hoping to cure her TB. Though he wasn't a real medical doctor, and most of his ideas weren't proven. He even built special machines to treat her, like one that blasted her with electrical rays. Carl believed electricity could fight disease, though science didn't agree. It was clear Carl Tanzler wasn't just treating a patient. He believed he was saving his future bride. But sadly, it didn't work. On October 25th, 1931, Elena died. She was only 22. Elena's body was prepared for burial, but Carl offered to pay for her funeral and build her a tomb. Her family agreed. It seemed like a kind gesture. Carl built a stone mausoleum, a small house-like grave, and placed her coffin inside. But here's the strange part. He was the only one with the key. Elena's family was never allowed inside. And what they didn't know, Carl visited the tomb every single night. For nearly 2 years, he said he would talk to her, sing to her, and even sleep beside her tomb. Neighbors thought he was just grieving, but they didn't know he was planning something else, something far more disturbing. But in 1933, Carl made a decision that no one could have predicted. He took Elena's body home. No one knows exactly how he did it, but according to later reports, Carl used the hospital's delivery cart, moved through the cemetery at night, and quietly took Elena's decaying body out of the mausoleum. He brought it to his home, a small house near the edge of town. Why? Carl said he could hear her spirit asking him to take her. He believed she was lonely in the tomb, and he thought he could somehow bring her back. But the truth was far from magical. Elena had been dead for over 2 years. Her body was decomposing. Her skin, bones, organs, all were affected by natural decay. But Carl refused to let go. By the way, if you're still watching this after hearing about wax skin, glass eyes, and 7 years of bedtime with a corpse, you're my kind of person, so subscribe if you like it. I'm on my way to 1,000 subs, and honestly, it would make my day more than Carl Tanzler finding another mannequin. And I promise, no fake stories here. Only real cases, backed by facts, and told in a way even the dead might stay to listen. Let's continue. Carl began reconstructing her. Here's what investigators later discovered. He used wire hangers to hold her bones together. Her skin was falling off, so he used silk cloth soaked in wax and plaster to rebuild it. He replaced her eyes with glass eyes. To keep the body smelling normal, he used perfumes, disinfectants, and chemicals every day. Her chest cavity was stuffed with rags to keep her shape. Warning in simple words, he mummified her using whatever tools he had at home, like a DIY embalming process, except he wasn't trained and this wasn't legal. He even dressed her in fine clothes and a wedding dress. He put her on the bed, or sometimes seated her on a chair as if she was just resting. This went on for 7 years, and the entire town had no idea. From the outside, Carl looked lonely but harmless. He kept to himself. He still worked part-time. Neighbors just thought he was eccentric, but a few things started to seem odd. Strong chemical smells from the house. Strange music playing at night. It wasn't until 1940 that someone finally questioned it. Elena's sister began to hear rumors that Carl still talked about Elena like she was alive, that someone had seen what looked like a figure of a woman through the window. She contacted the police, and one day, they arrived at Carl's house unannounced. They stepped inside, and what they found left them silent. There, in the corner of the room, was what looked like a doll, a life-size figure sitting quietly, face pale, eyes shiny, dressed like a bride. But as they got closer, they realized this wasn't a doll. It was Elena. The police stood frozen. What looked like a doll was clearly not a doll. The skin was stretched, the body stiff, the face oddly lifeless. They called for medical officials. The figure was removed and sent for a full autopsy. Carl was taken into custody, and as soon as the questioning began, he didn't deny anything. In fact, he calmly told them everything. That he loved her, that she spoke to him in spirit, that he took care of her, preserved her, lived with her because he believed one day science would bring her back. He still called her my wife, even though she had never married him in real life. The examiners were shocked by what they found. Elena's body was no longer natural. Her entire frame had been reinforced with wire and string. Her face, shaped using wax and plaster. Her skin, held together by layers of silk, glue, and wax. Her body cavity, filled with cloth to mimic organs. There were even paper tubes inside her nose to keep its shape, and glass eyes where hers had once been. From the outside, Carl had managed to make the corpse look lifelike, but underneath, it was nothing short of a homemade mummification. Crude, unscientific, but horrifyingly real. The news spread like wildfire. Front page headlines. Crowds outside the courthouse. Reporters camping outside the morgue. People didn't know what to feel. Salt? Disgust? Pity? But surprisingly, not everyone was angry. Some saw Carl as a heartbroken old man. Others called him sick. Some even called it love beyond death. The kind of thing that sounds poetic until you know the full details. The court now had to decide. Was he a criminal or just mentally unwell? Carl was charged with maliciously destroying a grave and removing a body without authorization. But here's where it gets strange. The statute of limitations had already passed. Too much time had gone by since he stole the body. So legally, they had to let him go. He spent no time in prison, no mental institution, just walked out free. After the trial, Carl moved away. He built a small home in Central Florida where he lived in silence. He never remarried, never worked in medicine again. But here's the creepiest part. He built a life-size model of Elena, using death masks and photos, and kept it in his home. Some say it was just a mannequin. Others whisper he built another version of her. He died alone in 1952 when officials found his body. It was lying next to a figure covered in cloth. Some say it looked just like Elena. Even in death, Carl Tanzler never let her go. Man lived with a corpse for 7 years. Dressed it, spoke to it, slept beside it. Not in a horror movie, but in real life. The question isn't just why he did it. The real question is, how many others are doing the same and haven't been caught yet? Think about it.